All right. So Tony Vitello, our former Tennessee man, now the manager of the Giants, um, has gotten a lot of heat at the start of the season. Some of it deservedly so. He's made some really bizarre bullpen choices, really bizarre lineup choices. Um, even stuff his own front office is kind of going, well, he's learning, but he's taken a lot of heat. So my question is, was his hiring a mistake, or is this just growing pains from a guy making the leap from college to MLB very quickly?
I'm just going to sit back and let Aaron, our token Giants fan, take this one. The floor is yours, Aaron. Um, I think it's just it's a big leap, right? Because I think he's being a college coach. You are in the thick of everything that your guys are doing, right? I think it's part of that, and realizing at the MLB level that you have a professional coach for every single aspect of the game, that you don't necessarily have to have your hands on all the time. In college you do, right? You're with the pitching staff, you're with the hitters, you're with the fielders, like you are kind of everywhere. You are the guy. In the MLB, are you the guy? Yes, I'm not saying you're not the guy, but like you can dial that back a little bit and really rely on the other professional coaches there. So I think it's a little bit of him trying to figure out where those lines are for him, right? It's a massive, massive, John Carter just said, it's a massive change, right? And you have no professional baseball at all, like no minors, no nothing. You're just coming from D1 college straight to the majors. There's gonna be some growth to be had there for sure. And Highlight says a little too early to tell. That is why Wotus is in the dugout to help with MLB decisions. So yeah, growing pains.
Yeah, so here's Aaron's feedback as a Giants fan.
Yeah, Aaron says it's pretty overblown here. Growing pains for sure. At the end of the day, you have to have the talent and players to execute. 1,000%.
Yeah, and I was not a huge fan of Vitello's hiring because I thought for the Giants, you are a good enough organization to kind of pick a manager. And I feel like taking a guy straight out of college is almost like what a small market team would do when you can't really get anybody else. You just give that guy a chance. It felt like a weird hire to me. I liked Vitello at Tennessee. I thought he did a good job with that program, but he was a kind of an energy rah rah, like in the thick of it guy. And I can't remember if it was Pete Carroll or maybe it was Nick Saban talked about like when you have to make that change from being a coach to being like the CEO at some point. And that's
Right.
where a lot of these guys fail. And it's what you were talking about, Nick, where like as an MLB manager, like you're surrounded by an entire staff of coaches, trainers. Like your job is not to be telling these guys how to field a ground ball and swing the bat. Your job is to put the best team on the field every day, know the situations, know the matchups, know the condition the guys are in, and build the strategy and the game plan. Like that's your job. You're now strategy and game planning. You're
Right.
not techniques and fundamentals. And some guys can't let go of that. We've seen Vitello make some really bizarre bullpen moves, and part of that I think is him getting to know the guys. But it's
Mhm.
also situations. You would handle it differently in college than you do at the MLB level. And I think there's been situations where he's just made the wrong call, and that the best education for him is going to be experience. But he has gotten a lot of heat early on. Um, I think some of it he deserves. He's made some serious mistakes, and I think he'd tell you he did. And I think some of that is just it's the fact of the matter of he's learning. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't a bench coach for somebody where you got to watch this happen. Like you gave the guy the keys to the castle on day one. Um, you have to expect there's going to be some bumps in the road.
Yeah. Any heat on Buster because of this move? That's a great question, Scott.
There, Buster at a press conference a few days ago got a lot of questions from the media that didn't make him look very comfortable. I think he's feeling a little bit of heat. I don't think that they're necessarily challenging him, but I think they're beginning to question like, why did you do this? Because this doesn't seem like it's a great fit. Again, it's 2 weeks,
Right.
um, but you need to start to see this guy settle in, or you're going to have fans panic.
I think it's also like, and I might be wrong here, but they haven't had great luck with managers since Kapler left, right? I mean, Melvin was there, then left, and they've had a few others in, then left. Like they haven't been able to have a stable manager for a while. And
Yeah.
maybe this was Buster just being like, hey, what we've been doing isn't working. Let's like really mix it up and just see what happens. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's 1 year, right? I mean, maybe I don't know. It's interesting. But
Yeah.
again, it's too early. He's gonna go through growing pains. And he doesn't exactly have the best team out there. Are they good? Sure. They have some great pieces, but uh, the yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just it's a weird situation, top to bottom.
It is.
Well,
It
and
is. I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying, Scott. But has their roster really been that good? The answer is no. It hasn't been that good. So,
yeah.
like, how much of it actually is his fault? And like you just your job is to roll the baseballs out, and hopefully the guys play well. And if they don't, you take the heat. That's just how the role works.
Yeah, being a manager in MLB sucks because if the team plays great, then it's because the players are killing it. If the team plays like crap, then it's because you don't know what you're doing. At the end of the day, you don't take any at bats, you don't throw any pitches, but you take all the all the crap for it. And I think in San Francisco, I think part of it is just they got off to a really disappointing start, and I think that roster's good. That is a roster that should be competing for a playoff spot. You look at that lineup, look at that pitching staff, like that's a team that should be playing a lot better than they are. But again, we're in the middle of April. It's been a
Right.
couple of weeks. They got off to a terrible start. You got to give the guys some time to settle in and rebound, but it's not looking good. The offense has been terrible, the pitching's been not very good, but you're also not getting great performances from guys that you expected to be good. Logan Webb has not been great. Matt Chapman's not been great. Raffy Devers has not been great. Um, you may look up in a month and have a totally different feeling on that,
Yeah.
but
And
unfortunately, he's the new guy. He's going to get all.
yeah.
They're going to put him under a microscope.
John Carter, this is a good point. If the manager sends 10 guys out on the field instead of 9, I'd be worried. He's allowed to try some different strategy things.
Yeah,
And I think that was kind of my main point is like I think Buster Posey just wanted something different in there because what they've been doing in the past hasn't been working. So let's throw somebody new out. That college coach, what the heck? He doesn't know how professional baseball is supposed to be handled. Maybe he comes in with a whole bunch of different stuff. And we want him to try it because listen, we really have nothing to lose with the Dodgers sitting in our division. Let's be
right.
honest, right? So let's try something completely unique. Maybe that's the route they went, but
Yep.
again, like everyone says too, it's April, right? It's April 12th. So let's just see
Yeah.
what happens.
I will say I generally like Vitello's approach. I think he's got a very different perspective than I think most of your old school baseball guys. I do think the one thing that's hurt him is that he's been kind of open with the media about his thinking, his planning, like what he's learning, almost like he's like kind of like learning in public. And I think in some extent, in some circumstances, they should be telling Vitello to maybe talk less to the media and not give them anything else to talk about. Because I think he's too open at times. And the other day he was talking about his bullpen strategy for the rest of the year, and people are like, "Why are you telling us this?"
Yeah.
And what if it doesn't work? It was, I think he's trying to be open and transparent, and I don't think it always helps to tell the media more because they just turn it on you.
Yeah. Aaron says the common denominator is ownership. They're fine staying in the middle lane playing 500 ball as long as the attendance is there. Winning 107 games in 2021 was the worst thing to happen in recent time. And that's not a bad take, right? In 2021, they win that 107 games, and your fans are now all excited. Oh, yeah, we are so close. We are right there. But it was kind of a fluky season.
It was.
But they played really damn well in 2021. But that does give your fan base a false hope for sure.
It
So
does.
that's a great point, Aaron.
Well, as Red Sox fans, we saw it in 2021 when they made that run to the ALCS.
Oh.
Like, oh my goodness, like they're further along than we thought. Then it was like right off a cliff again, and you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, because again, ownership was like, "Wait, we weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah,
Let's dial it back a notch."
yeah. Oops, sorry, we missed on
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, we weren't supposed to do that. Um, for a second, I thought the picture was Robbie Ray. Yeah, because Curtis said, "When your manager is the same age as most of your starters." Ow.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's still a little early to tell. It's growing pains right now. Maybe we come back in August and we ask this question again. We might have a clearer picture of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think if the Giants didn't get off to such a terrible start, it's not even a conversation topic. But I think people are just picking at them because they're an easy target, and he's the new guy.
Yeah, 1,000% agree.
Because they've been awful, and it's there's a lot of why they've been awful that he can't control.